knock-on effects this have on people who are already struggling with the cost of living. Economist Vicky Pryce is in the studio with us this morning. Vicky, very good morning to you. This is going to start some people's day with horror. We were looking towards October when we know the energy price cap will change, and now it looks like January is going to be even more bitter.
Well, we don't actually know what the gas prices are going to do, but we're suspecting that indeed they will continue to go up because partly of what you mentioned, which is Russia cutting supplies to Europe and how it will affect us. Now, the question is, of course, whether we can rely on other sources of gas. We get it from Norway, mostly, the extra gas that we need, plus, of course, whatever we can do in terms of renewable energy that can be used more in the homes. But there is a limit to do that. And, of course, as we know, we still depend hugely on gas, I'm afraid, in terms of heating homes. And that's going to be the real problem for the individual households. So the question is, do you give them some support? And as we know, the Tory leadership candidates have all been looking at how to ease some of this cost of living pressures. And there is a possibility. And I think whoever gets the top job is going to have to do something about household electricity and gas bills, without any doubt, such as maybe VAT cuts or other measures.
It's going to have to be more, isn't it? Because when you look at this, it's one thing for politicians to say, oh, yes, there's a cost of living crisis. Oh, yes, people are going to struggle. £500 a month is just not sustainable for most people.
Well, unless, of course, you increase wages quite significantly, which is unlikely to be happening.
That would be inflationary, would it? Of
course. Well, it is inflationary over a period of time, yes. I mean, not immediately, of course, but yes. But we're seeing costs going up everywhere. So we've seen the cost of food going up very significantly. We've seen that, of course, both in the supermarkets, but also what is being charged for, as we know, and maybe you discuss that later, the cost of cheeseburgers at McDonald's, which has become such an important issue. But, of course, prices hadn't gone up for gas or electricity, really, for a very long period of time. And they hadn't gone up for food for a very long period of time, or for many of the services that individuals have been enjoying for quite some time. So we've got to bear in mind that we're looking at all these cost of living crises right now, but after a period where, in fact, many prices were either stable or falling.
Vicky, there doesn't seem to be consensus on how you solve the issue of cost of living.
It's absolutely true. And I'm afraid, as an individual country trying to do something about energy bills or food prices, there's very little you can do. Raising interest rates, which, of course, we've seen the US do very significantly again yesterday, and we're likely to see an increase, quite a substantial increase ourselves in August, is going to just make the cost of living even worse for people in the short term, because obviously whatever it is that they're borrowing is going to cost more. So that will slow the economy down over a period of time and therefore maybe bring inflation down, but at a cost in terms of employment and growth. And that's the real dilemma. There isn't anything much that you can do if there is a war just in Europe, which is pushing these prices up. So obviously, if there is a solution to this in the near term, then we may actually see prices fall very significantly all of a sudden. And remember, we have had periods, particularly when there's been a slowdown in the economy too, of deflation in the UK, deflation in Europe. And that, in some ways, could be even worse than inflation. But
why? Why would deflation? Because I mean, it sounds like a dream at the moment, doesn't it? So why would deflation be worse?
Because nobody will want to invest in something which they see, the prices that they can sell the product at is falling over a period of time, because you don't make profits that way. On the inflation front, when inflation is high, of course you've got all your costs, but you can, as we've seen in a number of areas, raise your prices above the rate of inflation, possibly. And you hope, of course, that individuals have the money to also spend on the goods that you're selling, because they will be getting more wage increases as a result. But it is a fine balance. But deflation is a problem for many countries, and also in terms of the debt of individual countries as well. So if you have inflation, at least your debt is eaten away. If you have deflation, it gets bigger.